In order that the Negro may be reached with education and propaganda, and that he may be organized for activity, the following methods are recommended. 1. Nuclei shall be established in all existing Negro organizations. Colored organizers and speakers shall be sent among Negroes in order to inform them and win their confidence. Newspapers and publications shall be established. Friendship of liberal-minded Negro ministers shall be sought, as these men are at the present time the leaders of the Negro masses. Conferences on the economic conditions among Negroes shall be held from time to time with these ministers, educators, and other liberal elements, and through their influence, the party shall aim to secure a more favorable hearing before the Negro masses. By means of its membership, the party shall penetrate existing forms, literary societies, lyceums, schools, colleges, teachers' institutes, etc., of the colored people, and establish forms of its own for the enlightenment of the Negro population. Who do you think wanted to do this? All the way back in 1922. Soviet communists. People that look like this, actually. That picture was taken from the convention in 1922, where the document I just read was confiscated from. Back in 1922, Soviet communists had an idea to infiltrate the Black community and control every aspect of our lives. But the question is, did it work? Because if so, we should be able to find an organization that infiltrated us as our friends and then took over our entire worldview.
If you study the structure of the Negro community, economically, politically, civically, psychologically, and otherwise, it's controlled by the white liberal, who usually poses as the friend of the Negro.
All right, but did they also infiltrate our organizations claiming to be our friends?
These northern foxes pose as white liberals. They pose as your friends. They infiltrate all your organizations, and in this manner, by joining you, they strangle your militant efforts toward freedom, toward justice, and toward equality.
Did they also befriend our Negro ministers that were the leaders of our community at the time, trying to get to us?
You could point to a large number of Negro leaders who have consistently betrayed Negroes in a whole host of areas.
They aren't really Negro leaders. These are puppets that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. These are parrots that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. You can't name me a Negro leader who has been betrayed Negroes, who has not been endorsed, sanctioned, subsidized, and supported by the white liberals.
Did they ever organize us for activity that didn't benefit us but only benefit them?
The white liberal is the one who has perfected the art of posing as the Negro's friend and benefactor. And by winning the friendship and support of the Negro, the white liberal is able to use the Negro as a pawn or a weapon in this political football game.
Okay, that could be a coincidence. So it seems to me that this group that Malcolm X is identifying, calling white liberals, is actually carrying out the agenda that was formulated in 1922 by the Soviet communists. When did they begin their infiltration and how did they befriend us? The CP, the Communist Party, was one of the first left groups, left-wing leftist groups, to take up the issue of racism and oppression. During the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, the Communist Party made great strides in the area of union desegregation, public education about racial injustice, and legal support for civil rights activities. That's how they became our friend. They told us that they would help us fight against racism. What Malcolm X says is they infiltrated all of our organizations in every aspect of our life, and in doing so, they actually stop us from becoming liberated.
They infiltrate all your organizations, and in this manner, by joining you, they strangle your militant efforts toward freedom, toward justice, and toward equality.
That's why Malcolm X said that they were the worst enemy to America as well as the black man. Because communists hate America, and they're using us to destroy their enemy. I stumbled upon this book by a guy named Manning Johnson called Color, Communism, and Common Sense. Manning Johnson was a black communist in the 50s, and he wrote a book basically detailing a strategy that began to be implemented in the 30s, I believe it was, where Stalin had the idea of using racial tension and creating racial tension and conflict to bring down capitalism in America, to try to overthrow the government. And they were using black people as the spearhead for that movement, basically using us as expendables. As Manning Johnson realized that the party was only using blacks to create racial tension in America in the 30s, a man named Revels Caton came to the exact same conclusion. Revels Caton, one of the best known advocates against racism, he was also a communist, a black communist, left the party after realizing it was only interested in talking about race when that issue applied to party strategy. It also says in this article that although the Communist Party did significantly contribute to the improvement of the lives of people of color, its legacy should not be uncritically assessed. Its narrow focus on issues that related directly to Marxian theory and party platform caused it to ignore issues it should have addressed, while claiming to support principles on which it actually had not taken a stand. So you see there, once again, they were making strides for blacks, but that was the front of the organization. The underlying agenda was to cripple capitalism, to bring in a Marxian ideology, and then basically usher in socialism and capitalism into America, overthrowing the government. The exact same strategies that were used then in the 30s are the same strategies that were being used in the 50s with Manning Johnson, the same strategies being used today with Black Lives Matter. Behind each of these movements in the 30s and the 50s were white communists. Remember Patrisse Cullors? She says that she was a organizer.
I'm a trained organizer.
Where did Patrisse Cullors say that she was trained? Who trained her?
The Labor Community Strategy Center is my first political home.
Started by an old friend of mine,
Yes,
Eric Mann,
Eric
right?
Mann, that's my mentor.
Eric Mann was her mentor. Who is Eric Mann? Eric Mann is a communist from the 60s. So, we saw that the agenda, as stated, was that the white communists will send a colored organizer and a speaker to us to win our confidence. Eric Mann, white communist. Patrisse Cullors, colored organizers. How did they get us on their side? They said that they were helping us fight against racism and oppression. This has been happening to us since the 20s, and we still haven't wisened up yet. I'm going to reread the quote from the father of Black history. The impatient, highly educated Negroes therefore say that since under the present system of capitalism, the Negro has no chance to toil upward in this economic sphere, the only hope for bettering his condition in this respect is through socialism, the overthrow of the present economic regime. This thought is gaining ground among Negroes in this country and is rapidly sweeping them into the ranks of what are commonly known as communists. If the highly educated Negro would forget most of his untried theories taught him in school, if he could see through the propaganda which has been instilled in his mind under the pretext of education. So what the father of Black history is saying is that the belief that you can't succeed in America because of the white power structure and that you need to overthrow capitalism in order to succeed is propaganda disguised as education. Who else did I say wanted to reach us with propaganda disguised as education? In order that the Negro may be reached with education and propaganda, and that he may be organized for activity, the following methods are recommended. I'm gonna end the video on that note. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one, or in the comment section. All right, peace.